Cheers, and welcome back to Happy Hour with Christ. If you're here hoping for a little spiritual insight, a little encouragement, and maybe a smile, you're in the right place. If you're here because you thought this was an actual happy hour, well, stick around anyway. After all, Jesus was known to turn water into wine. Today we're diving into the Beatitudes, Jesus' list of blessings that sound beautiful and also a little confusing. Blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the meek, blessed are those who mourn. If you're thinking, Lord, these don't sound like blessings, they sound like my day last Tuesday, you're not alone. For years I heard the Beatitudes and thought, well, I guess I'm not meek enough, not merciful enough. I'm basically failing the spiritual Olympics. But as my relationship with Christ shifted from obligation and routine to friendship, I started seeing the Beatitudes as Christ mentoring me, us, as a portrait of grace. The kind of grace that shows up in real life, sometimes in ways you never expect. Like the day I visited my younger brother Steve in prison. We hadn't heard from him in 4 years. He disappeared from the family. I finally found him when I was searching online, and there he was, incarcerated for drugs and unpaid fines. When he saw me walk in, the first thing he said was, "I didn't want you to know I'm here." Well, and in that moment I felt the Beatitudes come alive. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the ones who feel ashamed, lost, or unworthy. Blessed are the ones who think they've gone too far to come home. That visit cracked something open in Steve that led to reunification, healing, and honestly, a complete change in Steve. Grace walked into prison with me, and it walked out with him. And then there was my son, 5 years estranged from he, his wife, and our 3 grandchildren. 5 years of silence, confusion, and heartbreak, questioning God's plan. Then one day the phone rang. I answered, and he said, "Dad, would you take me back?" I didn't think, I didn't analyze, I just cried tears of happiness and said, yes. Since then, through visits, conversations, and time, we've rebuilt a relationship with him and the grandkids that feels like pure blessing. And I hear Jesus whispering, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the merciful." These aren't abstract spiritual ideals. They're the way God mentors us, stitching families and relationships back together. They're the way Christ shows up in the middle of our mess, sometimes with tears, sometimes with laughter, sometimes with a phone call that changes everything. That's the Beatitudes in real life. I've noticed people who live closest to the Beatitudes aren't the ones making grand gestures. They're the quiet heroes, the grocery store clerk who stays kind, even when the line is long and the customer is, let's say, spiritually stretching. The neighbor who brings your trash cans in before the wind blows them into New Mexico. The friend who listens without trying to fix you, but maybe offers a beer. These small moments are where the Beatitudes come alive. As you sit with the Beatitudes today, maybe at the beginning of happy hour, ask yourself, where am I poor in spirit? If your answer is every morning before coffee, you're not wrong. But go a little deeper. Where do you feel open, honest, and in need of God? Where can I be a peacemaker? Maybe in a relationship, or maybe just by letting someone merge in traffic without muttering under my breath. Where is Christ inviting me to show mercy to others and maybe to yourself? After all, Jesus never said, "Blessed are the people who constantly beat themselves up." The Beatitudes are Christ's way of mentoring us. They're a way of living that brings us closer to Christ and closer to each other. Thanks for sharing happy hour with me. May your week be blessed, may your spirit be lifted, and may your patience be strong, especially in traffic. Cheers! By the way, this isn't apple juice.